Hey everyone, Alan here from the Wild Rift team. I was off spending my wild cause, but now I'm all out, so I'm excited to be back and kick off this patch preview. First, a quick heads up. The new year brings new patch numbers, so we're dropping that boring old 3 and bringing out a shiny new 4.0. That being said, our content cadence isn't based on an annual cycle, so that new number isn't tied to huge changes. That's because any patch for Wild Rift can bring pretty major updates, not just the one in January. We changed a huge aspect of the game a few patches ago with Elemental Rift, and we have some adjustments for this patch that are sure to shift the meta. In short, don't get anchored on that 4.0. We're going to bring gameplay changes when they're ready. Anyway, this patch, we're looking forward to some excitable champions, improvements for yet another role, and even more things to test in the jungle. Of course, we'll also go over our next big event and the skins you can look forward to. Welcome to Wild Rift Patch 4.0 Rising Spark.
Hey everyone, it's Maddie, Champion's product lead on Wild Rift. We thought our roster needed more mischief, glitter, and world-warping arcane energy. With all that in mind, Zoe, the aspect of Twilight, is ready to reshape the reality of mid lane, or support for extra chaos. Zoe is a burst mage who wants to steal spells, snipe enemies, and cause as much trouble as possible with portals. Her first ability, Paddle Star, throws a missile that can be redirected in flight. The farther it travels, the more damage it deals. So when tap casting, at first the missile will fly away from your enemy. Then, recast the ability to sling it back towards them. This works super well with her ultimate, Portal Jump, which allows Zoe to blink to a new position and then blink back. This ult has a low cooldown, so get creative with Paddle Stars to delete your enemies from existence. With her second ability, Spell Thief, Zoe can steal enemy spells and enchantments on cast, which will appear on the ground for her to pick up. They'll also drop when your team last hits a minion that's holding a balloon. She can only hold one stolen cast at a time, so use them or lose them. Last but not least, Zoe's third ability launches a bubble that puts an enemy to sleep after a delay. Attacking them will deal double damage up to a cap, so snipe your snoozing foes with a long-range Paddle Star for maximum effect. If you love rubbing salt in the wounds of your mid lane enemies, give Zoe a try. She's super random, and I hope she wins. And now, we're going from Z to Z. Bring the lightning with Zeri, the Spark of Zon, electrifying the dragon lane. Like most marksmen, the majority of Zeri's damage comes from attacking enemies. But her attack, Burst Fire, works a little differently than you might expect. When you tap the attack button as Zeri, you'll fire in a direction and damage the first enemy hit, just like a skill shot ability. So be sure to aim as you go. Zeri passively gains movement speed whenever she gets a shield, and she also has some tools to slow her opponents down. Her first ability, Electrocute, zaps an enemy with a slow. And her second ability, Ultra Shock Laser, fires a beam that damages and slows the first target hit. If the beam hits a wall, it'll extend its range and fire through it, applying its effects in an area. Zeri's third ability, Spark Surge, is her tool for great escapes. Cast it to dash forward and empower your next attacks. If Zeri dashes to a wall, she'll jump all the way over it. Use her ultimate, Lightning Crash, to shock nearby enemies and gain stacks of overcharge for each champion hit. While overcharged, Zeri gains movement speed, attack speed, and bonus damage. Her attack is faster and chains to nearby enemies, and she'll extend this effect with takedowns. As you can see, Zeri is all about attacking fast and moving fast. Pick her up, and you'll be zipping and zapping across the rift. And those are our new champions for the Rising Spark patch. We've got a healthy dose of positivity with these two, so I hope they'll bring a smile to your face. Go forth and tilt your opponents with cheerfulness and tons of damage. And now, I'll hand it over to David for even more updates.
Hi friends, I'm David, Associate Game Director for Wild Rift. Let's sparkle our way to the gameplay changes for this patch. The 3-act gameplay structure is super important for Wild Rift, where players feel the ramp up from early to mid and then to late game. Looking over the last few patches, we feel there's room for improvement for the late stages of the game. The focus here is to increase the opportunities for comebacks while maintaining the frenetic pace of Wild Rift. First, we're adding inhibitor respawns. So once an inhibitor is destroyed, it'll come back again after a little while. This way, the game won't feel like it is completely over if you lose an inhibitor early, and you'll be able to focus more on facing off against the enemy team and less on their minions. Continuing with the theme of climactic game ends, we're adding a mechanic that limits turtling. Once you reach the super late game, towers will begin to burn and eventually collapse. And while we don't expect this effect to trigger frequently, we want you to feel the urgency of pushing your advantage or coming back from your disadvantages. Every patch, we look to make improvements to specific roles. Last patch was all about the jungle, and for the Rising Spark patch, we're looking to improve the tank experience. Tanks are often the unsung heroes, and it's time to show you some love with our updates. Our high-level goal is for the success and achievements of tank players to be more visible to all players. Tank items provide a ton of utility, but their effects are often subtle, so it's difficult for you and your teammates to notice when you're using them well. So first, we're getting some new and improved Shopkeeper stock for you. Right now, Ixali's Seajar and Demon's Plate are great first picks for tank supports, but they're mostly benefiting players who want to roam all around the map. If you're more of an aggressive tank support who wants to get ahead through laning, Dawn Shroud is now your item of choice. When you immobilize a champion, Dawn Shroud's passive will damage and reveal nearby enemy champions. This effect will also trigger if you are immobilized. Next, we're reworking some other tank items to make their powers more clear and easier to appreciate. Randum's Omen is getting a new passive. When you're hit by a critical strike, you'll now gain stacks. Attacking a champion will consume the stacks and heal based on the damage you took. This is replacing one of the item's old passives, which reduce damage from all critical strikes. Starting this patch, you'll need to attack to make full use of the damage reduction instead of passively gaining it, which will reward good decision making as a tank player. Frozen Heart's effect is also changing. Now, basic attacks and spells will apply stacks to your target. They will also gain stacks from attacking or hitting you or your allies with spells. Each stack will slow your enemy's attack speed, up to a cap. We hope that with a stacking debuff, instead of an effect with constant uptime, Frozen Heart's impact will be more noticeable overall. Outside of that, we're working on more tanky details that we'll share with you in an upcoming issue of Wild Rift News. Overall, you should expect new improvements for different roles across future patches as we look to continuously improve the general game health. For the Rising Spark patch, we're bringing back a game mode we all know and love. All random, ultra rapid fire mode is making its triumphant return to the Rift. Queue up and play a completely random champion with super speedy spells. We're also using this game mode to test something new. In this patch, we're introducing Execute Smite, just for ARF matches. If you're jungling, you'll choose Smite for your loadout as usual, but Smite's effect won't be an active that you press. It will now be a passive instead. When you damage a monster and cause its health to fall below Smite's total damage, the spell will automatically trigger, effectively smiting the camp for you. There's no cooldown for this effect, so don't worry about accidentally wasting Smite and blue buff when you meant to use it at Dragon. There's plenty of Execute Smites to go around. We know this sounds pretty wild, and the final version of the Execute Smite might end up being a little different, depending on where our playtests land. But we'll have more exact details for you in the patch notes, so if you are an ARF playing jungle main, keep an eye out and let us know. As always, we're looking to improve the Wild Rift experience, both in and out of the game. So here's a few quality life updates we got in the Rising Spark patch. ARM titles have been around for a little while now. We'll be adding some sub-tiers to some of those titles, so that it's easier to track your climb. If you're a Master of the Abyss, we're excited to give you some new milestones to show off. So you think you're the best mid laner out of your friend list? Well, this patch, you can prove it. We're adding a role leaderboard, where you'll be able to compare your role score with your friends. You'll also be able to see the top players for each role in your region. The best of the best will receive a special title. We're also adjusting how role scores work as a whole. At the start of a new rank season, your role scores will be reset, but you'll gain a boost for role scores gained in the future based on your performance past season. so you can try and reach even greater heights in your quest for lane dominance. Now, I'll pass it back to Alan to round out the rest of this patch preview.
Ranked Season 8 is here, and glorious Crimson Nami is ready to make some waves. Play ranked games to claim her from the Season Rewards tab. And don't forget, you can pick up her Weapon Augment upgrade from the Ranked store. Best of luck on the ladder, and may your victory points rise like the tide. A new masked villain is ready to take the city by a storm, along with any valuables he can lay his hands on. Heroes beware, supervillain Graves is ready to lie, cheat and steal his way to the end of Wild Pass Season 8, and look cool while doing it. Be sure to plunder his Ascended skin from the Wild Pass Emporium before he sneaks away. This patch is bringing plenty of good luck and festivities. Lunar New Year is coming, and we've got some surprises in store for our event. Get ready to explore a world inspired by paper cutting art, where you'll get to know a few different champions and help them enjoy the celebration. The new year is a busy time, so you have to group up to grab everything you need, but that's all we can say for now. Just make sure you're ready to cook up some fun. We're also bringing back a futuristic theme that many of you will recognize. If high-tech cyberpunk energy is your speed, Project Surge is ready to initiate in patch 4.0. Your directive is clear, so prepare for new skins and new rewards when this event commences. And of course, the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for a look at our skins coming this patch. Whether you're an attentive student or a bit of a cut-up, we're sure there's something in this montage for you. Thanks for joining us in this patch preview. Let us know how these gameplay changes feel, especially for the tank players out there. Plus, we hope you'll enjoy our newest zippy, zany champions. Just watch out where you put those portals, okay?
Sneaky, sneaky.
That's all for now, and I'll see you on the Rift in the Rising Spark update.